Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast platforms. Welcome to Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And I have a guest with me today who has so much to talk about, and we'll get into it. If you could please introduce yourself and then explain what you do in the holistic healing world.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Becca Shaw. I have a very strange accent because I'm originally from England, but I've traveled lots and I'm currently living in Canada. So my accent's a bit bizarre. So hopefully everyone can understand me. It's got to the point where people can now. And because I grew up in England, the veil there is very thin and there's a lot of mythology and they're a lot more open with healing and magic, for want of a
Yeah.
better word, like that kind of atmosphere, whether they realize it or not, they're a
Mhm.
lot more open and a lot more connected there. So that started me off from, I'm going to say from birth.
Yeah.
Just, I was one of those weird kids that talked to the fairies at the bottom of the
Oh,
garden. I was always into healing. I loved everything, right? So my mum really got me into massage, and like tarot cards and all of these kind of things. She really encouraged that. She like took me to the library. She bought me oils for like aromatherapy oils and things. And of course, she was always the guinea pig.
yeah.
Test it out on your mom. So
Yeah.
um that's how I got started in the holistic side of it, was honestly my mom. She was
Mm.
watching a TV show where they were showing people foot massage, and she was like, just rub my foot there, follow along with the TV, and then bought me books on aromatherapy that Christmas. So
Oh, nice. I
all
love
my mom's
that.
sport.
I don't hear that too often. Almost always somebody became interested because they went through something and they were searching for a way on their healing journey, and that's how they got started, usually. So I
Oh,
love that this has been part of who you are your whole life and before your life.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like obviously, like as a healer, you're always given stuff throughout your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it wasn't trauma that started it. It was
Yeah.
trauma that came later. But and then I had the tools already there
Yeah.
and continue to learn. I'm always learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely, forever I will learn.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
important.
love it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I love learning. So if you could explain some of the different modalities that you do, because there are so much, and I want to mention here, and we'll mention it a couple more times probably, but you do have a website. It's Ember Healing at wixsite.com/Ember, Ember. So that's
Yeah.
your website right now, and we'll have links below. So much on there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do everything. So, on the holistic side, I will do various different forms of massage. So,
Hmm.
anything from just what you just automatically think of when you think of massage to using tools like aromatherapy.
Yeah.
I do hot stone massage, which is fantastic. If you haven't
Yeah.
tried it, you need to try it. And then I do things like acupressure points. So I'm
Uh-huh.
qualified in acupressure, not acupuncture.
Hmm.
Like this is where you do the same points, but with your fingers and your thumbs and elbows and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do that as well. And I kind of incorporate everything. So even if someone just comes to me
Right.
for one thing, I tend to just do a bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
I also do crystal healing. So crystal
Mm.
healing is fantastic as well. You can use different crystals that vibrate on different frequencies
Yeah.
to heal mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. So I use those a lot with lots of different modalities. I do something called ear candling, which
Hmm.
is a Native American thing, very, very natural. It's not just for your ears, it's for your entire head.
Mm.
So ears, nose, and throat is the easiest way to explain that. It's beautiful, beautiful healing. I do Reiki, which is
Hmm.
one of the main things that I'm here to talk about
Yeah.
today. And I do something called Akashic Records, which we may need another episode for.
Right.
But that's fantastic as well. I do it like a coaching session kind of thing. So we
Okay.
can go in with any kind of problems that you want. And on a spiritual way, we heal from that and we discover the whys. And like you
Hmm.
said, with those people that like they're just alive kind of thing, they're just 9 to 5.
Right.
You look at it from a spiritual point of view, those people chose to have that entire human
Mm,
experience.
okay,
Right.
okay.
So stuff like that would be discovered in the Akashic records, like the your soul mission, why you are how you are,
Mm,
why you have the problems or the joys that you have in your
mm-hmm.
life. Why did you choose certain things? Yeah, I do so much stuff.
Yeah.
Reflexology, not just on the feet, but on the hands, the heads, the ears. Yeah, I could go on forever,
Yeah.
so I will stop there, but I literally
Okay.
do everything.
Yeah, and we'll have Becca on again for sure. But yeah, one thing that I did want to talk about is so a lot of people have heard of Reiki, and but I don't know anything about what are the different types of Reiki and what's the differences and how do you decide or know which is right for you if you're going to
Yeah.
come for a Reiki session?
So yeah, with the Reiki, it
Yeah.
sounds very out there and bizarre, but you can do it remote as well.
Okay.
So usually with Reiki, there's different levels. So the first level is usually the in-person. So you'll usually learn just to
Okay.
do on yourself or the people around you, your pets, all of this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's touch, right? Or it's just right in front of you kind of thing,
Yeah.
hovering right above. Level two is usually when you learn to do distance. So, like
Mm.
I said, I'm from England, so I have family and friends in England. I can send them Reiki from here in
That's so
Canada,
amazing. Yeah.
but you could do it for someone like really out there. You could do it for someone in another realm or another
Yeah.
dimension or a
Oh,
past
wow.
life or something or a future
Wow.
self. You can send it to the future as well. So if you're
Wow.
going for a job interview, you can send yourself Reiki for the future to help you get that job or something like that. Or, you put a
Yeah.
bid in for the house, so you sort of send some energy to get that house, right? So that gets really interesting. And then level
Yeah.
three, depending what modality you do, is either like more advanced
Hmm.
or it's where you become a Reiki master, which means that then you're able to teach people.
Hmm.
So the whole thing with Reiki is that Reiki, with all of them, is something that you learn, something that you're taught, and what we call a tune. So
Okay.
your Reiki master will do certain symbols and like a ritual, for want of a better word,
Hmm.
to open up your chakras, open up your body to be able to channel the energy. So whether you think of it as God or universal
Hmm.
energy, like whatever you think Reiki is, like that healing energy. And so you're not actually giving any of your power.
Yeah.
You're not giving your energy. If you do, then you're not doing it, right?
Right.
Like, because the point is you're the conduit. You're
Yeah.
channeling that energy down so through your hands and into that person in front of you or thing or animal. So that's what you would do as a Reiki master is you would open up these people to be able to receive and to give that Reiki energy.
So what do you think are some of the misconceptions around Reiki, or what are some of the, things that you have heard people ask you or people talk about Reiki that they have a
Well,
misunderstanding about?
I think a lot of people they kind of think it's all the same thing. So they think like healing energy or
Right.
healing hands, kind of like, like Jesus laying on hands kind of
Hmm.
thing. They kind of think that it's just that, it's just another name for it. But
Hmm.
energy healing, like all Reiki is energy healing,
Yeah.
but not all energy healing is Reiki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So no matter what kind of Reiki that you're doing, it's still an energy healing. But then you have people that do use their own energy in the healing. So they're not channeling necessarily, a
Yeah.
divine being or divine energy. They're literally just using their own power to
Hmm.
heal somebody. Right. So that's a really big misconception and
Yeah.
confusion, I think. And of course, with some of the energy healing, it's a natural gift, for want of a
Yeah.
better word, as well. Whereas, like I said, with the Reiki, it's a modality that you learn, you become
Yeah.
qualified in Reiki, and you can have natural ability,
Hmm.
but anybody can do Reiki because you're taught it and it's like a switched on
Yeah.
way to bring it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one I would have thought with that. And then also when you say, oh, well, I can send you Reiki,
Hmm.
right? Whether they're your next door neighbor or they live the other side of the world. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
send you Reiki for that. And people are like, well, you can't, right? Like that doesn't make sense. And that boggles the mind a little bit.
Yeah,
And you kind of have to say it's kind of like sending prayers. You know,
right,
like when someone says, "Oh, I'll pray for you" or something, you can kind of say to
right.
people like, it's like that. But like,
Yeah,
they're going through an operation and you can send the energy to their body to help,
yeah.
with the operation and then the recovery afterwards, for example.
Mm. So first you're channeling in the energy and you're sending it out. Is there something that you do while you're doing this? Such as, are you setting anything up and sort of imagining the person in front of you, or is it all like in a meditative state that you're just doing it in meditation, or are you going through the motions and then sending it out towards wherever the person is? So what are you doing when you're sending the energy
So
or
me
the
personally,
Reiki?
I kind of imagine, I guess.
Okay.
If I don't really know the person very well,
Hmm.
maybe I'll have like a photo that they've sent me,
Okay.
or if they like communicate online or something, then I can just sort of like see their profile picture or something,
Hmm.
and then I've got that. But then for the majority, I kind of form an imagination bridge between
Okay.
myself and them, and then that's how I connect with them.
Hmm.
And then when I'm done, the bridge dissolves. So
Yeah.
it's like I kind of have this little reach out to them. And the thing
Nice.
with Reiki as well is the other person has to be, knowing that it's going to come to them or they're open to it.
Yeah.
You can't just send Reiki to somebody and when they don't want
Yeah.
it, it just won't go through. Like it's, even with the best intentions, if
Yeah.
they don't want it, there'll just be like a barrier
Right.
that goes up and they won't accept it.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
so that's all I kind of do is I kind of just kind of sit and I do it. And I've done it so long now that I can sort of multitask and do
Yeah.
my mundane things like the dishes
Oh,
or,
and then while you're doing
go,
that, yeah.
yeah, but I can do it all because there's symbols involved and you can
Hmm.
do them sort of like that or write
Like
them
in the
out or
air,
whatever,
or
but you can
yeah.
just do them with your mind as well, right?
Oh,
You can
nice.
just in your mind see that image and then send that out. And I tend to say words as
Hmm.
well with it, and it's usually like for the greatest love and the
Hmm.
highest intention and all those kind of things. And it's kind of a mantra that I just
Hmm.
repeat and I don't really think about it. It's just a way of my
It's just
mind just
going
focusing
on in
on
your
that.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Nice. So
it's
what
beautiful, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned that they need to be open to it and know that it's
Hmm.
coming and have agreed to it.
Yeah.
So, what would you like your clients or the recipients of Reiki, what would you like them to know before you send them Reiki? Or what do you wish they would do in preparation for it, if
Well, that's the
anything?
beauty of it, really. They don't need to prepare for it. They don't
Okay.
need to know the exact time that you're doing it.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's just sort of like, I mean, I could send to a friend that I knew would be okay with it,
Uh-huh.
but if they weren't wanting it right for that second, they just wouldn't accept it, wouldn't come
Okay.
through, and they don't need
Yeah.
to be conscious of it as such. And you can't send anything bad to somebody, so you can't make something worse. So
Yeah.
if someone has a headache and you think it's because they spent too long at their computer screen and that's what you're going in and you're sending Reiki for that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually because they haven't drunk enough water, like it's not
Ah,
going to make a difference, right? It's just gonna, if they're open to it and they want that headache to go, the Reiki's
yeah.
just going to go and do its job. So
Yeah.
with Reiki, it's best just not to judge or to put too much intention
Any
into
of
it
your own
because you're just
stuff
going to
in there.
send it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of like,
Hmm.
and just very quickly, like a really good example that I give is when I lived in the city, I would be on the subway and my hands would just get really hot. They'd get
Yeah.
really, really warm. And so somebody on that train needed
Mm.
Reiki at that time. And I was just the nearest attuned
Wow.
person. And it just switches on. And you just kind of sit there going, I don't know who this is going
Oh my
to.
goodness.
I just guess it's just going to go. And
Oh,
so
nice.
it just kind of happens sometimes. And it can never overdo it. It can help people in so many ways. It can even help people sort of people that are dying or something, it can help them just transition a lot
Mm.
easier and stuff like that. So it helps them die, which sounds horrible, but it
Yeah,
helps them
no.
die peacefully. It helps them die with less pain.
Yeah.
And maybe it does speed it along a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's helping them feel better about it so
Yeah.
they're not suffering, right? So
Right. I would
it's really, really
imagine
interesting.
that if it's speeding anything along, it's just dissolving those any blocks that are in there, probably.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm a former nurse and I've worked in the nursing home a lot with, you
Yeah.
know, Alzheimer's patients and with hospice patients and that. So I can see that being really helpful and a lot more peaceful, not only for the person that is making that transition, but their family members too, I would
Yeah.
imagine. So I wonder if you are working with a patient that's in the dying process, would it be usually somebody like the family members or a partner or something that would request this for them? Or can you send Reiki to the situation, to the family, or just is it always geared towards one person?
You can send it to, a whole load of people. So, for
Yeah.
example, you could send it to like a war zone.
Oh my. Yeah.
You can send it to like a whole forest that's, having
Yeah.
trouble or whatever. Like
Oh my
you can
goodness.
send it
Yeah.
to an area or
Yeah.
a family unit or a group of people. If you're on a farm or something, you can just do the whole farm, so the crops, the
Yeah.
animals, and the family within the house, right? So you can it doesn't need to just be like, okay, I'm just sending to this one person and
Okay.
now I'm just sending to the other one. And you
Mm-hmm.
can even so for the example with the dying person, you can be sending Reiki to the person who is dying and give them comfort and pain relief and stuff like that. But at the same time, while you're still doing that, you can be sending comfort and support to their immediate family members that are
Oh,
there.
nice. Yeah.
You can also be sending it to the nursing staff that are
Yeah.
there that are tired and they just, they just need to go
Overworked and
home, right?
right.
But like give them that little boost of energy to help them,
Yeah.
with everything. And you find that a lot of people that either volunteer in nursing homes or hospitals
Yeah.
or, end of life facilities and stuff like that, they actually have things like Reiki and they go
Mm-hmm.
in and they do this on both the patients and their
Yeah.
family and the staff. Because it just helps everybody. And like I said,
Yeah.
you can do it to the building as well. So you can raise the
Yeah.
energy of the building as well and make everything just feel more comfortable and secure and happy.
Yeah. So I once worked in not for very long, in a children's psychiatric hospital. It was horrendously heartbreaking in there. And I remember, and I had never heard of Reiki at the time, and I'm not religious, you know, specifically or anything, but it used to help me to feel like I was doing something. So when I would leave there, or so whenever I saw the building, really, I would think of angels on the top of the building and working their way, because it was like 4 or 6 stories high. It was huge. And I would just imagine, just picture them working their way through the building. And it just, I don't know, I got chills saying that. So I think that it did do something, but but it kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of that you can send this type of healing energy towards a building even. So
yeah,
you do Reiki for the children's psychiatric hospital or whatever, or
yeah.
like you said, the whole staff, all the patients. It doesn't have to be this patient. I'm gonna, you know, focus on them. It can be, yeah, that's so amazing. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
also with like imagination that gets such a bad rap that everyone says, oh, well, you're just imagining it. But with a lot of my work, especially with like the Akashic records, which I won't go into details, but like if people are struggling to visualize, I say
Yeah.
just imagine a door.
Right.
Just what kind of door would you see? And they start
Yeah.
imagining, and then they still can't see it. Okay, imagine this, imagine that. And after a while, they suddenly realize it's not their imagination anymore and they're there, right? And it's the
Yeah.
same thing like when you were imagining the angels, you're just literally calling in, you're opening up your mind to something
Hmm.
different and higher. And so it actually becomes real. Like your thoughts are
Yeah.
manifesting down into reality. That's
Hmm.
how we do manifestation, is it starting with the
Right.
thought and the intention and the emotion behind it. And that's then pulling that into our everyday mundane
Yeah.
lives. So yeah, imagination
Yeah.
is not just a fanciful thing. Like you're actually creating, you're
Yeah.
actually bringing in this huge power when you imagine.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm a hypnotherapist, and I would tell people who say, well, I can't imagine anything. I tell them, pretend I have an apple in my hand. You don't have to see it in your mind to know what I'm pretending to have in my hand. You know what an apple is. The same
Yeah.
thing with unicorns. So if I mention a unicorn, you don't have to see it in your mind. You don't have to imagine what a unicorn looks like to know what I'm talking about. So you still know what I'm talking about. So just thinking about something or just having that intention already brings it up for you in your mind, whether it's like you said, whether it's imagination or visualization or intention. So yeah, it can be a lot of different words, really. But yeah. Yeah, I think once it's there, then then you can send it, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. I love that. So if we can get a little bit of a quick description, so as if nobody ever heard of it, about the Akashic records, and then
Oh, yeah.
and then if, depending on time, but just a brief explanation of what it's all about, what it is, what it means, and then how you can work with people through that. Just
Okay.
briefly.
Yeah. I'll try.
Yeah, yeah.
So very, very quickly, the easiest way to describe them is imagine you've got your very own library on like the astral plane, and you can go to this library. This library holds the records of everything your soul's ever done, ever could do, past lives, future lives, everything, right? And your guides up there, so like your spirit guides, they're called the Akashic guides up there. They're like the librarians, and they help you find the
Yeah,
answers in this vast library. And so it's pretty unlimited as to what you can do up there. You can, like, if you have limiting beliefs or trauma or, some kind of block or something, we can go to situations in this life, we can go to past lives, and we can discover why and like what happened there. And then we can heal from it. We can get rid of any contracts, like soul contracts and things, and we can get everything sorted out with the past
yeah,
life. It's also about healing the past self as well, and then we find that that starts to integrate into our lives now, and we can ask questions of if we have a decision to make. We can ask a question. We can see possible future timelines and talk to our higher selves. We can do literally anything out there. We can
wow,
talk
yeah,
about like abundance, and that's usually like wealth, like monetary and stuff like that. We can talk about how to stop the blockages of those,
mm,
any kind of relationships in your life. It's just, yeah. And it's just so all
vast.
encompassing. And what I do is I take you to your records so that you can see it for yourself. Whereas a lot of
Okay,
people, they'll just do it like a psychic medium thing. So I'll say,
okay,
Pamela, I'm in your records. I see this, blah, 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 blah. Here's your messages from your guides.
mm-hmm.
But I take you to the records and you can see for yourself, you can discover for yourself. And my whole job is to say, well, look over here. What's going on
Yeah,
here? Why do you think that's happening? And trying to
mm,
coax you to understand and solve it for yourself so that
yeah,
you're more likely to implement it.
sure, yeah,
And that's my huge subject kind of
yeah,
crammed into two
right.
seconds.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think
Yeah.
that makes sense. And I know about the Akashic records, but I've never worked with the Akashic records in any way. But I have learned and know what they are, as you mentioned, like the library, in the ether, and of
Yeah.
everything you've ever done in your life, everything you have ever experienced in your life and past lives. I don't know that I have ever heard people talk about the future of yourself and having to do with the Akashic records. So that's really interesting. And yeah, we should get together and do a deep dive on that as well. I also
I
would
would
like
love
to hear more about the crystal healing at
that.
another time.
Yeah,
But is
absolutely.
Yeah, it's so interesting and I'm just amazed that there's so much that you do, but I guess, if you're continuously learning and this has been a part of your life, your whole life, you're just going to continue
Keep
to
going.
grow and evolve and yeah, move forward with it all. That's great.
So I think we kind of missed a little bit, which just I'll go over very briefly.
Okay.
Just about there's different types of Reiki. There's so many different ones now, but the main one that most people know about is called Azui. And
Okay,
that
yeah.
was discovered by this guy in like the 20th century. He went up a mountain, he meditated, he got told these symbols,
Yeah.
and then he went down and he did this healing with these symbols, and he taught people. And
Right.
then a couple of these students from him, they went out and they then taught more people, but then
Mm,
they also discovered their own versions. And now it's not out of control, but there's so many different types, right? So
wide open.
really, what because I think you asked earlier, like how would people know where
Right,
to go
right.
and what to do? I wouldn't worry too much. Like, if there's something specific, like you want to do more past life stuff where it's very,
Mm,
very trauma involved. Say maybe you've just come out of a really severe narcissistic
right.
relationship or something.
Hmm.
Maybe go for like the Karuna Holy Fire type
Mm,
thing, like that one. And they can all help you, but that one's kind of gonna really get into that trauma and
mm,
just pull it from you, right? And like very, very like people would with say terminal illness and stuff, they
yeah.
might want to find one that's a bit more oomph, they're a
Yeah,
bit more
yeah.
powerful, but they can all help you. So don't worry too much when people say, well, I have, this type of Reiki, and someone else says, oh, I've got this type. Unless
Yeah.
there's something very specific that you want, they're all going to help you with everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then sometimes if you have someone that's got maybe 5 different types of Reiki, then you
Hmm.
can just ask your practitioner, well,
Yeah.
this is what I'm coming in for, which one's the best one for me? And they
Yeah.
shouldn't be any difference in price or anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so just wanted to really cover that. There's so many different ones, and some incorporate like crystals and chakra healing and
Yeah.
Kundalini, if you know, like Kundalini yoga and stuff with the
Yeah.
spine. Yeah, so there's like different little pockets of Reiki, but the
Yeah.
usual ones are going to be just the very sort of basic one that was discovered
Right.
in the 20th century. And then from there, it kind of branches out from there. So like the Karuna and the Holy Fire, you usually have to have the Asui one
Okay.
before you can learn. So a lot of them, they say like you have to have this sort of traditional one
Yeah.
first, and then it sort of builds on that. You learn
Hmm.
extra symbols and
Mm.
extra like ways of healing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so just because you did ask me that earlier and
Yeah,
we
no,
went
I'm
off
I'm
on
glad that you
something else.
remembered. I'm glad you brought that up for sure. It's good to know too that you can ask your practitioner. This is what I feel like I need help around. Which do
Yeah.
you feel would be best for me? So yeah, so that's good to know. I think that people might not have realized that for
Each
sure.
practitioner, they kind of have their own flair as well, right? And they have their own
Yeah.
sort of way of doing it. So you might go to one practitioner and it's a bit too intense, and then you go
Hmm.
somewhere else, but it's a little bit meeker, it's a bit more gentle,
Hmm.
and then you find like the one that's for you because it's
Yeah.
like that nice in between, and you feel amazing afterwards, and everyone
Yeah.
feels great. It's just that you can very much notice the different practitioners when they do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to sort of, with any kind of therapy or any kind of healing modality, you kind of have to have that connection with the practitioner, I think. And
Yeah.
and yes, there's a lot of different practitioners out there, and there's no problem with contacting a few of them and having that first call or I think that any holistic practitioner would want what's best for the client and would want to
Yeah.
have that connection as well. And they would also feel if it wasn't a good sort of connection with each other. So a good practitioner wants you to get the best healing for you, the
Yeah.
individualized, personalized for you. Yeah. So, so anything else that you would like to share or make sure that people know before we end this today?
No, I think that's pretty good. Like if anyone's got any questions, like I could literally talk about any of my modalities for hours and hours. So feel free to reach out and ask me any questions. I do this like a free 30-minute
Nice.
chat that you can do one-on-one, and we can just discuss things, and you don't necessarily
Yeah.
have to work with me. It's just a way of sort of discovering what's available for you.
Yeah.
And if I can't help you, I probably know someone that can,
Right.
or I can put you in the right direction. Like, have you maybe thought of going this route? It's like a stepping stone
Yeah.
kind of thing for you. And I'm quite happy to always chat with people and hear their stories and sort of find how I feel they would most benefit. And then they can go from there with their own healing journey. And
Yeah.
my favorite thing is when people come back to me and tell me like, oh, remember I told you about this? Well, now this has happened, and it just is so much joy, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so feel free to reach out anybody that has any questions about anything. I'm very happy to talk about
Great.
all of this.
And the best place to reach you is your website or your email, or
Website
is
or
there?
social media.
Okay.
Yeah, like any of those really. I'm most active on social media wise on Instagram,
Okay.
which is Holistic Becca.
Yep.
So that's on Instagram. If people are more comfortable with that, or yeah, website. There's contact details are all in the website anyway.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
at the top, all the social media, all the Linktree stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely just take a look at the website as well. Like you said, there's a lot on there. So if it's
Yeah.
too confusing, just reach out and say I'm lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I definitely highly suggest you look at her website. There's so much that we did not cover today, and we will have her back on. We will put everything in the description below, and when we do have Becca back, we will put this episode in the description of that new one as well. So,
Thank you.
okay. Well, thank you so much, Becca. I've learned so much,
Thank
and I
you.
always love learning, and I know that my audience have learned as well. So, thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.